Okay, today we're going to have a look at really the accumulation of the past two lessons, and we're looking at the factorisation of polynomials to find zeros. Now, 2 videos ago we learnt about how to polynomial divide, and in the last video we learnt how to use the remainder and importantly, the factors theorem. So if we want to factorise some sort of complex polynomial that's completely all expanded, we're going to use our knowledge, first of all, of the factor theorem, and we're going to guess factors of that function. So we've got a function, we want to know, hey, what can I divide it by to get 0, a remainder of 0? Well, we might test 1, and then minus 1, and then 2, and then minus 2, and then 3, and then minus 3. And we're going to test a bunch of numbers. Hopefully you don't have to go above 5 and minus 5. Usually you don't. And in some cases, the answers are half, which is really mean when they do that. But we have to guess these factors to get 0. Once you've done that, you can use long division. Now, these ones have already been factorised, and we should hopefully know that the answer, if you were to solve this for x, is x equals 1, minus 2, or minus 5 for a. That means the x-intercepts of this function. If we were to draw this function, it would have x-intercepts at 1, minus 2, and minus 5. Now, since if you expanded that, the coefficient of the leading term would be 1, positive 1, the function will look something like this. That would be 1, minus 2, and minus 5. And that's actually one of the main applications of polynomial division. It helps us graph these polynomials. And of course, this answer would be 3 on 2, minus 7, and minus 1/3, right? Okay, that's going to be right at the end of the process of how these questions get. The trick to them, first of all, is finding a factor. We're going to do it in this exact question here, and then polynomial dividing. So we're asked to solve x cubed plus 2x squared minus 5x minus 6. Now, there's a number of different ways that we can solve equations. We, depending on what time of the year you watch this, have learned about the quadratic formula, you've learned about completing the square, you've learned about factorising, but none of these methods would work to solve this equation. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to guess a factor to polynomial divide by, and we always start with 1. So if I substitute in 1, I'm just going to use my calculator for this. Substitute in 1, I get minus 8. So P of 1 equals minus 8. No, minus 1 is not going to work. Oh, there we go. The next, I always check 1 and then minus 1, and that actually does equal to 0. That's good. Now, if minus 1 works, that means x plus 1 is a factor. If 1 doesn't work, that means x minus 1 is not a factor. So we know now that we're going to divide this polynomial by x plus 1. Let's have a go at that. X cubed plus 2x squared minus 5x minus 6. Let's have a go. So we're going to have x squared and then x cubed plus x squared minus 5x plus x squared plus x. I'm not going to show you how to do this again because you can look at the previous video. Minus 6, now minus 6, 6x minus 6. Again, you don't really need to show any of this working. You can just do it really in your head. But I am for this example. Now, we are expecting to get 0, and it's good that we did. In fact, if we didn't get 0, we would have made a mistake because we actually already know that x plus 1 is a factor. So therefore, now I might need to add a bit of room in this OneNote, or I can just go over to the side. Therefore, this function, x cubed plus 2x squared minus 5x minus 6 equals 0, is the same as x plus 1 outside of x squared plus x minus 6. Now that's useful because we can actually factorise that second term. That's x plus 6. No, it's not. X plus 3, x minus 2 equals 0. We know how to factorise quadratics. We learned about that in Year 9. And we've transformed through polynomial division quite a complex question into something we can factorise. And then this gives us the solutions of -1, -3, and 2. Why is that useful? Well, first of all, we've just solved it, but importantly now we can graph it. Now we know the solutions are -1, -3, and 2. This is a positive. The coefficient of x cubed is 1, which means it's positive and starts up here. So that function looks like that, and that would be the y-intercept there of -6. This lesson is not focusing on graphing at all, but now that we know, we can solve these, which means we're going to graph them. Okay, thank you.